disrupting you.
Sure.
They don't have that kind of draw. It's Stoneforge Mystic plus Force of Will or bust. That's really all they can do.
So let's take a look at this game here. Erik, Smith, Dan, Jordan up a game. Looks like we're working our way pretty deep into the mid-game here. Smith with a bunch of lands in play, and the ones that are important, I believe, are the Creeping Tar Pit. There's also a Caracas out there. Deathrite Shaman looks like it has some ammo in the graveyards, and news I was GT in play. For Jordan, there is a Stoneforge Mystic, a couple Volcanics, a couple Tundras, a bunch of cards in the graveyard. Looks like he's got a lot of cards in hand. You have to imagine that a piece of equipment is in his hand. We just don't know which one yet from the Stoneforge.
And this is the type of position that Esper Deathblade wants to get to in the matchup.
Yeah.
We've entered the deeper stage of the game, as you mentioned, a lot of mana in play, and just more powerful tools in the deck from this stage.
Creeping Tar Pit gonna get fired up. Equip the GTA to something. A difficult decision on what it's gonna be. It will be Deathrite Shaman.
This strikes me as a bit of a hedge here. He wants the Deathrite Shaman to die in the event that Dan has a Source of Plowshares or something else like that.
Very quickly takes care of the Stoneforge Mystic. Jordan will sacrifice Blue Delta. Down to 13 we go. The two most accomplished players in our top 8 doing battle here. Smith, a former Invitational champion. Jordan with a lot of impressive performances on the Pro Tour. Also does have some Open Series wins and some nice Invitational finishes himself.
Definitely the highest profile of our quarterfinal matches for sure.
Move the GTA over there. Onto the Tar Pit. 3 damage will come across. Jordan's going to go 10 more importantly for Smith. 2 counters on the GTA. Smith going to play a Flutter Train before passing the turn back. See if Jordan can work his way out of this. A card like Wear and Tear would be great. Wasteland, of course, would be good. Get that Tar Pit off the table. That thing's causing a lot of trouble right now. Dan with it. It was GTA, however. I'm going to suit it up. Things are changing very quickly in this game.
Well, they are changing slowly.
I think they might be changing slowly in favor of Dan.
Yes.
2 counters there. Going to gain 4 life. Smith needs a big draw here. He looks like he's behind now.
And Dan with enough mana to sort of fight the dance with Batterskull resetting, even if Erik is able to find intermittent answers to the Germ token.
Smith looks like he's going to gain some life. Get the Trop. Looks like it's time to maybe try to play a longer game here and move a True Name Nemesis. Again, Jordan, the one with a lot of cards in his hand, has 3 cards that he's sifting through. Smith with only 1, I believe it's a land in hand.
Yeah, it's not clear how many of Dan's cards are relevant at this point. I mean, a lot of this deck is Spell Pierce, Daze type of action when you get to this stage.
Erik going to reorganize his lands. Looks like he may have picked up a spell. You know, this is a great window to find an answer to Batterskull. I think it would be very important if he could find one.
The bigger problem is now this Jitte, because he can't even keep this going for the time being.
Smith going to attempt to equip over to the Deathrite Shaman. We'll see if Jordan has any interest in making a move.
Well, this forces Dan's hand to some extent, because once the Jitte's on the Deathrite Shaman, now you can protect it. If Dan wants to kill in response, he still has enough mana left over to animate the Creepy Tar Pit and get Jitte on that.
Yep.
But then there's no plan after the fact. He still has to find an answer to the equipment or the Germ token.
Yeah, it's scary, right? If we kill the Deathrite Shaman in response to the equip, we lose the 2 counters. And now Deathrite Shaman in response, activate, remove a land, add a mana, activate the Tar Pit, equip the Tar Pit, get into the red zone. GT goes with 4 counters, then you kill the Germ token.
Yes.
And now you're kind of back in the driver's seat there, as Jordan would have a Batterskull with no living weapon on it, and a GT with no counters on it. So I think the Dan may be better off, and again, I don't know the contents of his hand, of just letting the equip resolve on the Deathrite Shaman.
Because it's not like Erik's in a position to attack here.
Yeah.
He would just be running straight into the Batterskull.
Yeah.
And by the same token, he's not in a position to block either, so.
See what line Jordan wants to take. He's given this a lot of thought. So that will resolve. Smith hoping that Jordan does make a mistake there. But I think this is the better of the plays, just letting this equip resolve. As you mentioned, Deathrite Shaman can't get in the red zone, really.
Yeah, Erik wants to move the Jitte somewhere. He knows if he tries to move it to the Creeping Tar Pit, that's going to immediately induce Dan to kill it.
Here comes an attack. Dan lets that
Looks like a
Yeah,
very
he
quick
blocks
block.
very quickly, yes. Now GT counters are going to move up for each player. So looks like Smith, on that turn, his main focus was just getting more counters on the GT. Of course, Jordan's going to gain 4 life from that exchange. Tap the batter skull. Come on in. 4 more damage. GT counters up to 6 now.
It's very impressive for the game to have gotten to this stage and for Dan to have such an enormous edge in resources.
Sword of Feast and Famine is what Stoneforge Mystic has found. Smith draws a card.
Finally completing the equipment triumvirate.
Smith finally found a card that does something. It's a Brainstorm. This is real important right now.
2 pieces of equipment on my equipment.
1 is Zealous Persecution, 2 is True Nemesis, 3 is Flooded Strand. Game could be changing again.
True Nemesis has a chance to be relevant here.
As it oftentimes is. There's a Delta. This will be the attempt at the problematic 3-1. Does Jordan have some sort of counterspell?
This is a soft spot traditionally in the blue-white-red Delver game, is True Nemesis.
That's going to resolve it, looks like. Jordan kind of shrugging his shoulders here. Now it's time to equip, put the GT on there. So Batterskull, this road is closed. Jordan will draw a card sitting at 22 life. We'll play a Brainstorm right off the top very quickly. So 3 cards coming here for Dan. Smith at 12, trying to stabilize. At a virtual 20 because of those GT counters. But that was a timely Brainstorm and a timely True Nemesis for Erik.
The issue here is that this Batterskull is threatening so much damage at this point that if Dan is able to diversify his attackers at all, if he's able to, say, get an equipment on the Stoneforge Mystic in an attack, Erik still might be compelled to just block in front of the Batterskull and allow Dan to get in some shots in the meantime. Because that Germ token is currently 16 points of damage.
Yeah. Here's a Delver. And pass it back. Now the thing is, True Name, you know, it's not going anywhere. Smith gonna sacrifice Delta here. Do you think I was gonna say, do you think maybe we see Creeping Tar Pit get equipped with GT and try to come in, but Dan will just kill that.
Yeah.
So that's not really an option.
Both players kind of want to stare down each other here. It's hard for too much to go wrong for Dan because he has Stoneforge Mystic plus Batterskull, so it's hard for Erik to really get out from under this. And Dan doesn't really want to attack because if something goes wrong inside of attackers, that's an opportunity for Erik to claw back in this game. So I think Dan will take his shots to be aggressive if they come up, but he's not going to rush things here.
You have to imagine this is one of those situations where perhaps you were hoping Feast or Famine was Fire and Ice.
Yeah.
So you could push through damage. Erik reaching for what looks to be a lot of mana. Is this a Batterskull? Oh, boy. That's a huge draw.
Yeah, Batterskull plus True Nemesis is the combo.
Yeah, that was such a big draw for Erik. Still has 3 mana available, too, in case he needs to pick it up. And activate Stoneforge to put the sword in, but that might be the best draw on Erik Smith's deck that turn.
I can't imagine there's anything better.
Yeah. A Zealous Persecution now with the Delver flip on the stack. And that's a little bit dangerous simply because, of course, now Wear and Tear could take care of the Batterskull if Jordan does have one.
Yeah, you feel like maybe Erik could have just used, worst case scenario, 2 Jitte counters to handle the Delver if it flipped. But now the shields are down.
And Jordan won't reveal anything. So Zealous Persecution does resolve. Erik's team gets a little bit bigger. There's a Brainstorm. This is a big Brainstorm for Dan.
Here's the window.
Quick update for you guys as Dan does Brainstorm. Josh CCO does win the match over JD Near 2-0. Charlotte's Bug will play the winner of Blue Red Delver and Belcher. And I think if the Belcher match is still going, that's not good for Belcher.
Typically, no.
No. No, no. Man, has a daze left in his hand, you can see. There's also a Delver hanging out over there as well. For Dan, actually, oddly enough, these Brainstorms have not netted any, not any fetch lands.
He's just been looking at the same cards here.
Jordan gonna take a look at True Name Nemesis. Again, he's been out of the game for a little bit, even though he has True Name in his deck. He's been focusing on his poker playing career. Hasn't been playing as much Magic recently as he has over the years past. And it's as good as he thinks it is.
Yeah.
True Name Nemesis.
With an extra piece of equipment and a Jite further along, Dan can swing the race back here by drawing his own copy of True Name Nemesis. But besides that and Wear Tear, he doesn't have a lot of impactful cards left in his deck.
Yeah, that's what it feels like, right? There's not a lot of great cards here. Let's see what the follow-up's going to be, if there will be one.
Wouldn't surprise me to see Dan try to move the sword onto something.
Levi Teets, 2-0. Belcher's out of here. Not much of a surprise there, I'll tell you what.
Happens, man.
I don't take it personal. Teets going to play against Charles Bug. Blue Red Delver versus Charles Bug. Always entertaining, so I look forward to watching that.
It's a shame Jesse Parnell has made one of my favorite innovations to the Belcher list, which is cutting the taiga for a stomping ground. Because it doesn't matter. Who cares? Yeah. If that's what the game comes down to, I messed up anyway.
Yeah.
So
there's some sort of error somewhere.
Just proving a point.
Again, if there was a worse red-green land you could play, I would play it. Corplusion Forest, get in there, if it counted. An attempt to equip. Yeah, the ZP will take care of that. I think Jordan was expecting for Smith to have to remove 2 GT counters, but in reality it's only 1 because Hell's Persecution gave that Stoneforge Mystic -1/-1 already for the turn. So Smith right on it, quickly draws his card, and he knows, let's suit it up. And let's get to work. This would be an attack here for 7.
The lock is in.
Yeah. I know Dan's been away from the game for a little while. This is what it's like, man.
He's probably done this to people today. No
Yeah.
sympathy.
Yeah.
The only opportunity cost of True Name Nemesis is that it has to tap.
Yep.
And now, not even that.
That living weapon is holding a whole bunch of toys, but it can't attack. True Name standing tall. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Could attack for 15 right now, I believe. If he'd like to. If he wants to move in, he can.
I wouldn't be surprised to see him do that. Yeah, it
Yeah.
looks like that's what's happening here.
Assuming our life totals are correct. I guess, yeah, obviously Dan can gain some life with his Jite. So Dan will gain 2. Smith? Uh-oh, somebody forgot their Jite counters. Gotta remember that trigger, my friend. Yep, and I think he knows it.
Rush through a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Jordan will draw. I'm not even sure what the outs are now. It's got to be True Name, like, that turn, I think.
It's not even clear that does it anymore.
Yeah, like, I'm not sure that Wear Tear isn't out anymore at this point. Dan's going to have to gain some life with his Jite here. So he's going to gain 6. See, Smith, remember the counters on Jite this turn. Smith is going to gain a whole bunch of life. Here's a Thoughtseize. He wants to see what the heck is in your hand. Dan says, I'm not showing you. And we're going to move to a 3rd one.
Looked like Dan had him on the ropes, but that soft spot, that hole in the armor of Blue, White, Red Delver, opposing copies of True Name Nemesis,
Yep.
reared its ugly head.
We saw Dan put together a really nice batter skull with Jite. And now, maybe he's being a little reflective, trying to think of what he could have done to come back there. But Erik Smith was able to get the job done. And we'll head to a 3rd and final one between these 2 great players.
It's just something that comes up a lot in these games. There's a Red Elemental Blast, a Pyroblast in Dan's sideboard.
Mm-hmm.
He has his own copies of True Name Nemesis that can race if the board looks the right way. But once True Name is in play, he has his own copies of True Name Nemesis, 4 copies of Delver Secrets that can fly over, and not a lot else going on in his deck.
Yep. Sideboard time. We will look at Dan Jordan's first, a Sword of Feast and Famine, 2 Grim Lavamancer, 4 Meddling Mage, 2 Rest in Peace, 2 Flusterstorm, Pyroblast, Red Elemental Blast, Source of Plowshares, and a Wear and Tear. We saw Sword of Feast and Famine already in there, and I have to imagine with the way that he lost that game, he may want Pyroblast or Red Elemental Blast now.
Yeah, and I think if they didn't come in before, I think they're definitely coming in now. What's interesting to me is, does he want the extra threats? And I feel like often in these kind of matchups post-board, I just want to normalize the deck a little bit more. I don't think the counters are particularly good, and even though Grim Lavamancer and Meddling Mage aren't the best threats in the deck, I just kind of want to have more of that sort of thing going on.
Other side of things, Erik Smith looking at 3 Meddling Mages, so 7 copies of Crisp Cooler throughout this match. A Flusterstorm, a Force of Will, a Spell Pierce, 2 Surgical Extraction, 2 Zealous Persecution, a Vendilion Click, a Venser Shaper Savant, and a Thoughtseize.
Well, we already saw the Zealous Persecutions are in, and I think you're going to see the Venser probably come in, pretty good in equipment fights. The Thoughtseize coming as well. We saw Erik had 1 at least in that game, probably implies that he boarded in the 1 as well. And I think Vendilion Click is reasonable too. A lot of this fight is just about equipment. So the stuff that interacts favorably with equipment, Vendilion Click can break up something that's Stoneforge, Mystic Found. Venser isn't ideal, but it can be a big tempo swing in certain spots. I think Erik wants a little bit more of that kind of thing going on.
It really does seem like a glorified battle of, all right, I want to make a True Nemesis with stuff on it, and you can't beat that.
Yeah. Both of these players are approaching it from slightly different perspectives. Erik has a lot more control elements to allow him to get there. Dan can potentially tempo Erik out and not give him the time to get that set up. But once the game gets to that position, that's probably what it's going to be about.
And Dan had that engaged, except for it was with a germ token.
It was with a normal creature.
Yeah.
Not True Name Nemesis.
It's a True Nemesis. That was the problem. So, see if Jordan can find one of his copies of True Nemesis this go-around in game number 3. Or Smith will be able to fend him off and get the job done. Game 3 underway here shortly. Again, Charlie Mitchell with Burn going to play the winner of this match. And then Levi Teets playing Blue Red Delver will play against Josh Cicio playing Shardless Bug on the other side.
And Charlie Mitchell definitely, well, if I was Charlie Mitchell, I would definitely be rooting for Erik Smith to get this one.
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Dan going to take a mulligan. Looks like Smith kept pretty quickly here. So both players will shuffle up and do battle. Of course, Grand Prix Orlando coming up in October. Made the announcement about that. Playmat, all those pins, all that fun stuff. Looking forward to this tournament.
It's going to be a lot of fun. The first time I've ever covered a Legacy event for SCG Live.
Yep.
One of the first Grand Prix I've gotten to cover. I think this is maybe number 3 for me. So this is going to be a lot of fun.
Of course, the big highlight here is the playmat, of course. When you do enter, you're going to get one of those along with a deck box, some SCG. You'll also get the Time Twister pin, a free entry to a side event, a month of premium. I mean, this playmat is crazy awesome.
Yeah, totally cool.
Can't forget the batter skull as well. And of course, these will all be prizes that are guaranteed, free to all participants, and they will all be there on hand.
Yeah, ready to go at the site.
Yeah. It's going to be a lot of fun. I know you, me, Matthias. We did Miami together. I don't think you've ever done. Have you done another GP besides that?
I did Miami. I did day 1 of Salt Lake.
Okay, many moons ago.
That was a very long time ago.
Yeah.
And that might be it.
All right.
That's it for me, I think.
MagicGP.com is where you can pre-register and find out more information. It will be a fantastic event, much like this one that we're at right now here in Worcester. A ponder being cast here by Jordan off the mulligan via Volcanic Island. Smith draws a copy of Tundra. There's an Underground Sea, and here's a Thoughtseize. So, Mr. Jordan, what are you working with? A True Nemesis, a Stoneforge Mystic, a Lightning Bolt, Misty Rainforest, and a Scalding Tarn.
Not a shabby curve.
Not at all.
Very good for Erik to have a Thoughtseize against this draw.
Are you saying that Thoughtseize is a good Magic card?
It is powerful. Because your opponent often has cards in their hand. A good portion of the time, those cards are spells, and then some of them are often good.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of reasons to like it.
That's just expert analysis. Stoneforge Mystic. Let's see what we're going to search up here. And it will be a batter skull. So Jordan's in 19. Smith knows the contents of the hand. And Smith does have a Source of Plowshares. Also has one of his copies of Wasteland here. So there's a Tundra. And there is a sword. To get that thing out of here.
just trying to blunt the impact of that Batter Skull here. This is the tough part for Blue, White, Red Delver. There's just not a lot of threats. And even if Dan's able to find cantrips, if he's just spending too much time, spinning his wheels, trying to get something set up, Erik just can go land drop, powerful threat. Land drop, powerful threat.
There are quite a few of those in this Esper Deathblade deck, that's for sure. Scalding Tarn, here's another Stoneforge. That's pretty important there for Dan. See what equipment he wants to search up, Sword of Feast and Famine, or the Jite.
Threatens another, demands another removal spell, which is good.
And he will get the Jite, and we'll pass the turn back over to Smith. Smith with the Jite of his own in his hand. There's the Wasteland. Now here's Sword Jet again, get that thing off the table. Smith also with a Brainstorm in hand. And you can tell Smith wants to just get these threats off the table. Now, of course, you want to kill Stoneforge before Batter Skull can come into play. That much is obvious. But as you mentioned, they're threat light.
Just not a lot of action in the deck. 10 creatures total, plus whatever Dan sided in.
Wasteland taking care of that Volcanic Island. Not going after Dan's mana base a little bit here. Jordan has equipment in his hand. The question is, can he get it into play? He's going to sacrifice Scalding Tarn. You have to imagine going to go get a Volcanic Island yet again. And there's the blue-red land.
Whoever loaned Dan this deck is showing a lot of trust.
This is true. Oh, boy. Here's a Brainstorm. This is important.
And Dan has no
three.
end of equipment in his hand. We know this.
Erik cannot be thrilled with seeing this. The Brainstorm is going to resolve. He's going to put 2 cards back. True Nemesis is in. Erik Smith is who it hates. But Erik has a true name of his own. Let the fun begin, shall we?
It's a race.
Does Dan have a 4th land? Maybe suit up the old Jite here.
Yeah, right now he's a little bit ahead. But it's pretty easy to break serve if one person's able to get the equipment into play first.
Yep. There's an attack for 3. Smith's going to go down to 15. You see Smith's hand. He has a Batter Skull. He's got a Stoneforge Mystic, and he's got a Jite in his hand. Dan going to play a Jite now. Excuse me, Dan going to play a Stoneforge. Search for the sword to have all 3 equipment in the hand. Assuming he left the sword in, which he believes that he did. There it is. Smith, 4th land.
That's why I spoke about breaking serve here. If Dan had that 4th land last turn and got Jite on first, he'd have a pretty big edge in the race. Now it's swung back a little bit in Erik's favor.
Gets a little bit interesting though, right? Because Erik's going to play Jite and equip his True Nemesis and get in. But will he leave the counters there, or do you kill the Stoneforge?
I think that I killed the Stoneforge in this spot. You know that Dan has multiple pieces of equipment in his hand. He at least has the Batter Skull he can't cast. So it seems it's still early enough in the game. Dan's life total is pretty high. I would concern myself a little bit more with the board right now.
In comes True Name. Jite counters on board. And now Erik says, all right, let's get this out of here, pass the turn back.
I understand, you think maybe it's safe. Just leave that thing in play. Maybe Dan's just too behind the 8 ball to make good use of it, but it feels like a risk not worth taking.
Jite. Fetch land. It's an equipment party.
Well, Dan's got a lot more party favors than Erik does at this point.
There's Volcanic. Ugh, that's so ugly. Jeez.
Yeah.
2 counters on board.
Whoever built this deck, you didn't have another $1,500 laying around to take care of that Volcanic? Come on.
All right, in comes Santa Claus. 2 counters. Oddly enough, I have I think that Batter Skull's the card that breaks serve here. And there's a Stoneforge Mystic. Smith not going to search. That's telling.
Yep. Batter Skull in hand.
Yep.
Or showing mercy on Dan. Not sure which one it is.
One of the 2, to be sure. Jordan draws his card. We know he has Sword of Feast and Famine. We also know he has Batter Skull, so a 5th land would be absolutely huge here if Jordan has one. However, he has put a lot of plans into play and searched a lot out via fetch lands.
Yeah, only usually 19, 20 lands in these kind of lists.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's a 20 land deck. Sometimes it's
19.
22. Yeah, 19.
It's on the lower side.
Yeah. It's 3,500 for the bulk patch.
Well, that's 4 and black bordered, so it's not quite the same cost. $1,500 is an overshot. There's probably a couple other cards in the deck that could be touched up a little bit.
Perhaps.
Yeah. I'm just saying, you're 99% of the way there. What's the last percent?
You might as well just go. What's the last $3,500? What's the last? What's the last paycheck for July?
Right.
What's the big deal?
So this game has the potential to get into kind of the ugly place where, you know, both players have True Name Nemesis, they're passing in the night, and it becomes a race to see if Dan can find Wear Tear first to try to break serve, or if Erik can find something like Liliana the Veil.
Mm-hmm.
The game is shaping up to be something along those lines. A lot of the other cards just don't matter at this point.
I agree.
Traditional removal spells, even Planeswalkers out of Erik's deck. Jason the Mind Sculptor is not that productive from here.
I think it's just dead.
Just dead.
And for 3 more, GT going to take up to 4, Smith down to 8.
And this is a turn where there was a potential for yet another big swing. If Dan found a 5th land here, then he gets to go sword, equip, hit you for a bunch, untap my lands, cast Batterskull. And now Erik's way behind in the race and loses his Batterskull on the Sword of Feast and Famine hit as well.
It could have been very ugly.
Yeah.
But Smith made it out alive. Erik going to play Marsh Flats. I was thinking about how he's supposed to attack, but I don't think there's any question. You're attacking. You're forced to.
Well, you can't block.
Yeah. It's the one-way highway. I guess the question, of course, is how much do maybe do you attack 4? Do you fire up a tar pit? Maybe yes, maybe no, but you are attacking. Nope, we're creeping. Or are we?
It's tough to do anything but cast the Batterskull this turn, because unless Erik is willing to hold back True Name Nemesis on defense, he just loses the Batterskull to the sword.
In we go. Jordan's got a free shot for Tar Pit if he wants it. It's his call. And this is obviously a cognizant decision by Smith. You can have it if you want it.
I mean, Dan still has the option of clearing out and having a free pass here. He gets to shoot down the Creeping Tar Pit. He still has enough counters left over to shoot down the Stoneforge Mystic, even if Erik tries to move the Jitte over there post-combat. And that's an even better use of resources by Dan.
That is pretty good. That Pyroblast instead of using GT counters. Jordan's going to take 3, go down to 10. GT will take up to 4 for Smith. So, does Jordan have a 5th land? This, yes. Yep. In we go. Now, Erik.
And Dan doing this one at a time because of Zealous Persecution.
Well, his creature's already big enough because of sword, so he's safe.
Sure.
Yeah, 3 toughness. I was thinking the exact same thing. That's fine. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is an attack for 9, so this is lethal. All right, gain of life, gain 2. Yeah, this is the mini game now.
And the problem is that Erik can't even break the fetch land in response to try to get the Stoneforge Mystic out. Or to Stoneforge the Batterskull, because he can kill it in response to the fetch land activation.
Yep. Pump again. Pump again. So see some pumping and some gaining of life. A trigger will happen. Dan is going to add mana, untap all of these lands, sword trigger on the stack. Or is he going to kill this, is the question. And it looks like no. That's going to do it.
Yeah.
Lightning Bolt is it. Dan Jordan going to win this match over Erik Smith. Very well played on the last turn.
Yeah.
Very, very well played.
Dan Jordan has still got it.
Yeah. Very, very well played turn by Dan. And he's moving on to play against the young gun, Charlie Mitchell. What a game.
Yeah, excellent use of resources there. There's a couple steps along the way where if Dan had drawn a little bit better, does he have the 4th land on time? Does he have the 5th land on time? Where he blows the game wide open.
Yep.
Erik dodged some of those draws, but Dan's still able to navigate it very expertly.
Yeah.
There's a lot of spots there where it looked like Erik was trying to trap Dan into using some Jitte counters and threw in some pretty attractive bait. I mean, he threw a Creeping Tar Pit out there. He gave him an opportunity to kill Stoneforge Mystic and lock out the Batterskull. But Dan knew the contents of Erik's hand, knew what the light totals were, and how much Erik had to use Jitte just to gain life to stay alive, had the bolt, and was able to just recognize that he had it all rolled up.
Yeah, I like the trap setting a lot there by Erik with the Tar Pit.
Yeah.
And the Stoneforge Mystic saying, please use your G counters on this. This is where I need your G counters to go. Because as long as I can get Batterskull my true name and start hitting and gaining life, I'm going to win.
Yeah, and the issue there, unfortunately, is that Dan had a Pyroblast in his hand that was pretty much stranded otherwise.
Yep.
So it was just a freebie for him to take up most of Erik's turn, and now Dan onto the semifinals.